Violet Evergarden is beautiful, both visually and narratively. It is simply beautiful. And any person who has seen the anime will definitely agree with this statement. I think that one of the driving reasons as to why this show is the way it is, and why this show makes us feel the way it does, has to do with the beauty of one of the many themes presented. The one in particular I'm thinking about is the idea that conveying true feelings is hard, and near impossible. Human feeling and emotion is condemned to our hearts and minds alone. I don't believe anyone out there can just read people's minds, so it's difficult to convey those sentiments. But the most important part is that we try our hardest to understand each other, even if those feelings we as individuals hold far surpasses words. So that theme takes its physical manifestation in the form of an Automemories doll. The job of a doll is to put people's feelings, their true feelings, on paper and make sure that they are expressed optimally. These dolls are trying their hardest to understand the people who want their feelings and emotions expressed, just as much as those people are trying their hardest to convey their own. The only way that we can truly come to understand each other is through our own hearts and minds, as well as personal experiences. Okay, but how does this tie into why Violet Evergarden is so painfully beautiful? Well, surprisingly enough, I believe that has to do with Violet Evergarden herself. We learn to love Violet, the girl who once was a weapon and whose presence on the battlefield was nothing short of foreboding. We all loved watching the doll like Violet Evergarden become more than that, a human who can live for herself. The development Violet goes through is poetic, but it wasn't because of herself that she was able to change. It was because of those experiences required for a doll. Violet Evergarden, who at this point has only encountered war and death, experiences people and the troubles of common folk, something completely new to her. She is put into the most saddening positions that reflect the reality of society time and time again, such as the loss of a loved one or the yearning for knowledge. Violet Evergarden, who also wishes for the knowledge of human emotion, does her best to accurately describe how other people feel based on her own experiences. And at first it turns out awful, and she is conflicted as to whether or not she is fit to be a doll. But after many of these sad, but sometimes happily resolved, experiences in writing for people trying to express their feelings, she herself is able to understand her own. After all, there's nothing better than learning from experience. Except, learning does come at a price for Violet Evergarden. Having gained some fresh knowledge on human feeling and emotion, Violet Evergarden can now look for this in herself. This knowledge triggers Violet Evergarden's final and biggest development in the 13-episode anime. She finally comes to that realization explained by Hodgins in the very first episode, that her body is on fire, and has been for a very long time. All of the people's problems and pain she felt responsible for, because she had caused the same pain for all of those people who died by her doll-like hands. Being able to cope with this was the biggest hurdle. Overcoming the weakness that is her past and the pain of loss would not be easy for Violet Evergarden. However, her letters did not fall on deaf ears. The power of her words were able to move so many grieving humans. All she needed was one letter to remind her that she was loved, even if she didn't know the meaning of those words. You see, Violet Evergarden made an enormous impact on people's hearts and connections. And inside that deep garden that is our heart, she writes words of profound warmth, words of grace that are too strong to be forgotten, like the sun shining on a field of violets, whose petals carry everlasting beauty. This was my 5th time writing the script from scratch. In every one of those scrapped scripts, I felt that I wasn't able to adequately express how I really feel about this anime. In times past, I have written a script based on what others have done, but I would never really put into text how I myself feel. I wouldn't say I was copying said idols, but rather using their feelings as the groundwork for what I felt. Out of admiration for others' thoughts, my own were falsified, because my own became theirs. As much as I wanted to deny the fact by saying things such as, "That's exactly what I was thinking," my mind was still being reconstructed based upon the views of others. In other words, I wasn't thinking for myself. In order to write this script in particular, I think I needed to understand that. Like an Automemories doll, I tried to put into words how I myself truly feel about Violet Evergarden. And although difficult, I managed to at least somewhat do so. I do hope that some of my words were able to get through to you and my feelings would be expressed. However, as I said, it is challenging to capture and express these feelings because they are based on my personal experiences. Nonetheless, I hope that you can somehow relate, and I encourage you to make connections and find out how it is you feel based on your personal experiences. That's all I have for now. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and see ya.